when you're ready.
Hello everyone, good morning. Today I will present a paper. The title is Sageflow, Robust Federated Learning Against Both Stragglers and Adversaries. And the paper is published in NIPS this year, last year. And nowadays, like large volumes of data collected at various edge devices, for example, smartphones, and those data are valuable resources in the training machine learning models in order to achieve a good accuracy. So a promising direction for achieve such goal is federated learning, which enables training a shared global model with less privacy. That means without upload the model to the server, the personal data to the server. However, current federated learning system suffers two major issues. The first one is a straggler issue, and the second one is adversary attacks issue. So the first issue is called like a straggler issue, like here. It just means like there are some devices is slow devices. That means maybe the processor is very slow. So it can like we should wait in each global round of aggregation. We should wait for the straggler. So this time like if we wait all the stragglers at one global round, it will significantly slow down the overall training process. So to address this issue, like some paper proposed to consider a synchronous update. That means our synchronous federated learning schemes. So just for example, like here. Here, like for example, the global and the server and the worker are parallel together. That means the worker can continually to send his model to the server, and the server then do the update and send it to the worker. That means like for example, like here. Here the global model updates the server updates the global model synchronously based on the adversary, based on the device stillness. Like here is like 1 minus alpha. Alpha is a stillness function related to how the worker's model is slowness. So and you see this T minus tau is called stillness. That means the difference between the current round T and the previous round tau. So that at like which devices received the global model from the server. So okay, I don't know. Okay. However, among like this received the result at each global round, and a significant portion of results with large stillness does not help the global model in a meaningful way. So which potentially makes the scheme ineffective. And since the model update is performed by one update asynchronously, it would be vulnerable to various adversarial attacks. And there are many different forms of adversarial attacks. For example, like model poisoning and data poisoning. Both of these attacks are aiming to like reduce reduce model accuracy. So for example, what is model poisoning? That means an attacker can poison the updated model at the devices before it sends to central server. Also, the data poisoning is that the attacker can poison the data set of each devices, and which can further degrade the final model performance. So to resolve these issues, like the common approach is robust federated learning aggregation. What they use some like robust aggregation method, for example, geometric median based aggregation or like a trimmed mean based aggregation. However, the performance of these methods are substantially degraded when the portion of adversaries is large. Also, the presence of stragglers can make the attacker ratio much higher. So this paper, they proposed a Sageflow. We try to handle the straggler and adversary together in federated learning, and through two novel solutions. Maybe you can have three. One is for the straggler. It's called stylist-aware grouping, and two for adversaries, entropy-based filtering and loss-weighted average. Also, they derive the theoretical bound for the Sageflow, and also demonstrate that the performance is better than the baselines. So this is a problem formulation. They consider like this is the federated optimization problem, and here is the number of devices. MK is the data sample in each device K, and M is the overall total number of data set in all devices. KW is the local objective function in each devices. Here is the average loss, and the common method to in federated learning is called federated average. That's try the aim to do this aggregation together. This is we update in the T global round, like a way the server will send will select a subset of devices here, ST subset of this ST subset of N, and each device is in ST, and will perform like a local updates with its own data, and send the update model WTK to the server, and the server will do the aggregation here. Aggregation, you see there is aggregation is based on the number of data sets in each round, and so we got this average aggregation that is called federated average. However, due to the effect of stragglers, waiting for all the K devices at the server can significantly slow down the overall training process. So to handling these slow devices, this paper they try to they assume a periodic global aggregation server. What that means? That means at each global round, and they set a deadline TD. TD. That means like and also like TD, and also they send the parameters like the model, current model W01. This is device one from the W0. W0 is global model W0, and 0 here is the number of the iterations. It's called time steps. Time step to the, and instead of waiting for all the devices, like for example, there is a subset of the devices 1 to 7, and instead of wait for all, the server aggregated the model by like here by fixed deadline TD, and then the server can only have the result of this array to obtain the WT plus 1 or W1, and we then go to the next round. Next round here, in here, like the model, like here we have a deadline TD, and in this round we receive two groups. Like further is the last group W04, and from 0 is the last step, and here is the current the newest W18, W19, and both of them are sent to a server. And
Jiahao, here,
okay.
Can you go to the previous slide? Here, what do you mean by 1 and 0 here?
1, 0 is there is a time step. That means what's the model? This model is this result is used which global runs model, global model. For example, here this is the only used last iteration's global model W0. And this one is a newest W1 model, right? Because the server sends the newest model to the new subset, you see here. This part is the devices, right? Is from the subset of here, right? Because like the server choose a subset randomly at each round, right? And here he receive here they receive the global model, and but it's so slow, and he is also past the deadline, right? But after in the next round, they finish their training and then upload their older model, right, to the server. And so the server like to make a step to here to like make step how's it make a like a sign to show that, oh, this this model is the old model, right? And this one is a new model.
Yeah, my question is, I saw that, if you say this rotation, I saw that this W1 already means that while you are modifying, you are updating the W1, right? So
yeah, you are right. You are right.
Is this one, I mean, is this index required, or it's a duplicate of this one? Because this one already have one here, right?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, you mean like I know, I understand this is one, and that means the global round. Here also means the global round, right?
Yeah.
I know. I understand, but look like this is maybe the traditional approach in like a synchronous, right? You see here, I think both of them they require to receive a pair of X, new, and tau from any worker. This is a common, like maybe a common approach, a common tradition.
I think their attention is their motivation is try to avoid the confusion from the traditional one, because traditionally we'll still use W1, W2, stuff like that, right? So if we add one more index, probably they mean different thing.
Maybe more easy, I think.
Yeah, much easier. Yeah.
Yeah, I get a point. Yeah. So, and also here, for this W, are they updating the model update or the model?
Good question. Model parameter.
So they cannot
It's here,
update
the same WTK. WTK is a local model.
So does that mean that, for example, for this asynchronous case, they cannot update the model update, right? They have to upload the whole model.
Oh, you mean the model difference and the model
the
model,
model
right?
difference. Yeah, the model difference.
Yeah, they don't consider the model difference. They only consider the whole model.
Oh, okay. I see.
Because the goal, the reason, right? Because like they try to, like, for example, the worst rate here, entropy filtering and the loss weighted averaging. Is this they use the public data to do this one? Makes it because like the server will use the model to test this model is it's from benign devices or the worst rate devices. If we consider the model differences, seem like somehow maybe it's somehow challenge, but maybe we can recover, right, by add up the global model, because we know the global model. Last round global model.
Yeah. I get the point. Yeah, I think maybe they should just I think it's easy for you to write the formulation if you just assume that each device send models instead of the model difference. A model difference can be recovered at the server side. Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, just go ahead. Thanks.
Okay. So the server, right, like here, after you see, we have like two standards. One is from the 71, one is 70. That means this current model, training model, use the current round global model. This is the last round global model. And that means like it look like we have two groups. They define two groups. One is for way 20, way 21. That means it's aggregated result from the local updated model, starting from W1 received at round T at 70. And they try to do the weighted averaging according to the different staleness alpha. Yeah. So that means they do the averaging here because we two area and we have two groups. And we all want to do the weight averaging here. But we got a weight here. We set a weight alpha 1I lambda. Here you see this alpha is a normalized coefficient that is a proportion to the number of data sample in that group. And it's inversely proportional to the staleness. You see here, staleness plus 1, there is a lambda here. And so like we have a large weight to for more reasonable result and have a small staleness, right? Here, if like staleness is small, that means this alpha is larger, right? You are 0, and staleness is large, is here. The alpha the weight is smaller. So they define this one. And
okay. Yeah, okay, just to go back here. So weight 2, 0 is the average, is a weighted average of device 4 and device 5's model update, right?
Yeah.
And so what do you mean by here, the 2? What do you mean by 2 here, the index 2? The weight 2, 0. I need 0 and what is 2? Index here.
Yeah, I know. Good question. The weight is and they actually the algorithm, the formula is very complex. That means like
Is that because of for the next round?
I show you some like
the 2 is
I show you some paper. It's so complex, the paper.
I think the 2 is for the next round. If you check.
Yeah, and 2 it is from the next round.
Yeah, it's for next round. If you check
here,
there.
You can see the screen right here. They define like a weight T plus 1 I will the global round representation model, which is the local model from WI.
No, Jiahao, you go back to the slides.
Okay.
You go to the slide. Dr. Guo, if you check the equation on the right up corner, right? They get a W2 from those summation things. Yeah. So the way 2, it should be for the global round 2. We use
So W2 is more like the initial model at the beginning of round 2.
Yeah, the global model, yeah, something like that.
So
initial global model for the round 2, yes.
Okay, so then weight 2, 0. So you have weight 2, 0. You have weight 2, 1. So in the next round, for example, if you have W3,
it's weight 3.
Then you have weight 3, 0.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But they use I to represent, the model from which group or from which round. Say from the 0 round, the first round, the second round. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you have 1, 0, 2.
Yeah, they use the 2 or 3 to represent 4 which round, and they use the 0, 1, 2 to say it's from which round, something like that, or from which group. The round of the group, I think basically they mean the same thing.
Okay. 0, 2, 3. So alpha is the coefficient about the staleness.
Yes.
So for this one, so for this group, this group, the staleness is higher. This one is lower. The staleness is smaller.
Yeah.
So are they going to use a larger weight here or smaller weight? I thought they are going to use a smaller weight for this larger staleness, right?
Yeah, smaller weight for large staleness. Like we have 2 here. It's more larger,
It's like the decay function, right? So for the latest round is larger weight. For the far away round is smaller weight, right? Something like that.
Yeah, somehow like that.
Okay. I see. So they also have a coefficient about the number of devices.
Not devices. Yeah, devices here.
That means this one is 2, this one is
yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see. Okay, thanks.
And okay, the characteristic of this approach is there are two characteristics. The first one is the scheme is not delayed by effect of stragglers because they consider the periodical global aggregation, right? They say that TD. And the second is the scheme can fully utilize the result sent from the stragglers in the future ground. And you see this aggregation here. They require the coefficient here require a lambda. So here we show like how different lambda like consider will affect the performance. We can only consider straggler, and we can see the appropriate lambda has to be chosen to provide more weight to recent groups with small staleness, right? And we will totally not ignoring the result from the large staleness. And here the result, we can see that like the very large lambda here is make the scheme consider only the group with the smallest staleness in each group round. And if the lambda is 0, the lambda is 0, the scheme reduce the ignored straggler scheme. That's why we just ignore that. Which can lose the significant data at each round and often converge to some optimal point in practice, right? You can see lambda 0 here, lambda 1.5 here. Yeah, that is the effect of the lambda. Next, like we consider like a staleness the approach with adversary. That means there are some adversary attacks, adversary devices.
Sorry, I have one question. So how did they consider the subgroups? So you gave the example, there are like 19 devices, right? So probably after the first round, the first 4 already updated. And then so like in the next round, so will you like reuse the updated devices?
No, not reuse. The random selection, just like the common for learning. You see, they first choose the data like they do example 1 to 7, right? The next round they consider 8 to 18 to 13. You see, but the result why these devices can be updated is because they are slow devices, right? And in this round, right, they consider like from 14 to 19.
Yeah, so I mean, so where is number 1 and 2, the first 2 devices?
It is already finished.
Yeah, so they won't participate like in the later.
They will. I mean, here is just like to show like a subset. I mean, you understand? Like they choose subset each round.
No, Dr. Zhang, it's just like a random sample, right? For example, altogether you have 100 devices, right? I mean, the index here doesn't mean too much, just to show, in the future, they use this index to submit something, right?
Yeah, so it's like 2 groups of devices. One is already updated and you randomly sample from that.
I don't think so. I think, for example, right? So if we use A to Z to represent the physical devices, right? For example, device 1 means the device A here in the first round. I mean, in the next round, the device A can still be sampled because it's a totally random sample.
But if this one is like this straggler, so in last round, so I don't think it will participate in next round, right?
Well, yeah, that's a very practical question, but I think they can keep struggling. So and probably Jiahao, yes, if that's the case, for example, the same devices is random sampled for multiple rounds. So they keep training the old model, or they train the new model?
Doesn't matter, It's just like they just try to they just choose a set ST, right? And ST and wait for the response from this subset ST. And if not waited, and
Yeah. Well, I know theoretically, I totally understand, but in practical point of view, say you're the same device, right? You were sampled for the first round, say you were sampled for the third round as well. You haven't finished the first round when you were sampled for the third round. Then what are you going to do? You still train the first round model because you only have one CPU and GPU, right? You cannot make the CPU, GPU potentially work on multiple tasks.
Oh, yes. Yes, maybe. Yeah, good question. Yeah, I haven't noticed this question before, but I think maybe they just
you just give up the first round.
Yeah, I think they just delete this index from
the first round. Then they
no from the index from this ended device, delete this one until it and then sample the subset, the rest of the devices, right? And until they receive their result from that devices, and then add to the rest of their devices and to do the sampling. Maybe this one. I don't remember.
Yeah, probably
I don't know this problem.
Yeah. Potentially you're right. They just remove themselves from the first round. They work on the probably latest round, like the example show. They work on the third round or something, right?
Actually, it doesn't matter, Darpan. Because if you see if the device is very slow, the server cannot to tell the devices, okay, please send your model aggregation. They just continue to do that. Doesn't matter, right?
But just in case, from practical point of view, if you have probably only one set of GPU or CPU,
yeah,
potentially you cannot work on multiple tasks. You can
yes, but we can wait. You see, the here.
You're right. You can finish the first round, then you move to the third round, right? So
yes, not the third round. Yeah, third round, because they already send the global model to this server, to these devices, right? They can sequentially to slowly to training the model, and the server know this model use the global model from which iteration, right? 0 iteration or 1 iteration. So
that's related to Dr. Zhang's question, right? It's you sample from the rest of the device besides the first, except the first round device, or you sample still from the whole pool of devices?
They don't mention this one, but I think they follow the. I think they follow the basic setting for fair learning, just random sampling.
Yeah, but I think it's more reasonable you sample from the rest of the devices, because if you are also sampling from the whole pool, so actually the device received cannot quickly update based on the current model. So this becomes
no, I don't think so.
Even you sample from the rest of devices. How about the first one, device 1, 2, 3? They're already finished.
Yeah.
Are they capable for sampling, or they're not qualified for sampling? Right, that's the question.
It's not such a complex. Just follow the paradigm at the beginning. As the original is enough. I think because the Dr. Zhang asked how about some is very slow, right? But also the server don't know what's the reason why this device is slow. Maybe it's because of the adversary. They don't submit their model or their device, the model to the server, and also maybe there is really slow. You don't know, right? You cannot say, okay, why you are slow. You cannot do that.
Yeah, we understand that point. We just try to say from practical point of view, we just let the device keep trailing, the server keep waiting. Say, for example, like the example I gave, the device A train for the first round until it finished, then it moved to the third round, right? So because it was sampled again, then continue train for the third round. For example, in the future rounds, say in the 15 rounds, that device was sampled again, then the server is going to wait until that device A finish the third round, then move to the 15th round. Is something like that, or we just let the devices train on the most latest jobs or something?
Yeah, I understand this point. I understand the point, but usually for synchronized version, like we should wait for all, right? We don't care about the update, right? You want to sequence, right? So if you want to like to use that kind of paradigm to achieve something like a synchronized update look like, or like somehow like this.
Oh yeah, I got your point.
You change, it's not baseline, right? Actually.
Yeah. If we choose them to work on the most updated task, probably it's against the rules of synchronized, right? So original synchronized one, right? So we just wait for the slow device to finish one task, then we move to the next, right? It's something like that.
I think so.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Zhang, did those discussion address your question?
Yeah, so I think even for asynchronized, so you can, it's better to also split the whole group into two parts. So one is the straggler and the other is like the the other device available for some new training. So otherwise, if the straggler also participate in the whole pool, so actually when they receive the new updated model, they cannot participate in the new training because they still have the old workload. And in this way, so you received the new global model actually in the next round becomes something old. So it is, so it is something like you continuously to beginning this kind of straggler. So you will never be like timely participate in some new training. Yeah. So this is my.
But I think that's fine. That's kind of consistent with their design, right? So even your continuous to be long time straggler, forever straggler, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we can use. We just set a wait.
Also we just wait. Yeah.
For the paper or synchronous.
If you can do this better, why do you want to wait? Why do you want to, so this give you the trouble. So you always want to have some new model. So why do you want to use the old one? So I know this is probably their design, but I think a better way, so probably is just to set this into two groups. Yeah.
But don't you think like if you spend like maybe like a
no, like if you set the two groups, they will be much more complicated, right?
No, just the two groups.
I think Doctor's like a solution waste the result from the staleness staleness devices.
No, the staleness is also participate in the training. So if you already finish your work, then you become the available devices. You go to another group.
Yeah, but because it is slow, they can be already still always stillness, right?
That's the case of the device. Depends on the capability of the device. Sometimes probably they're slow. Sometimes probably they're fast. So I mean, so that doesn't matter. So if they finish their current round, then they go to the new group so they can participate in the new training.
Yeah, yes, I understand the point. There are like two things. Like the first one is they finished this staleness devices. They finished their training and send the staleness model to the server, and then they is idle, right? And it's idle now, and the server select the device again, and they can continue training. Do you think this staleness or not? It's based on is slow devices or not slow?
No, I don't think her question her question focus on this. Her question focus on, okay, do we need to update the set of devices for sampling? Right?
Yes, so that's the point. Yeah.
This paper, I'm not sure, probably they don't mention that or say probably you think that's not important. That's not important, but it's really hard to say. If you update the set, the device set for sampling, it can be good, but I'm not sure how much the improvement. But Jiahao, do you know what Dr. Zhang means? Is it she just try to update the device set for sampling?
I understand. Maybe there are many papers, system design papers. They try to address this synchronous like time or the scheduler. How they do the scheduler?
Yeah, I believe
But that is a kind of against random sampling rules. I don't think so, right? It's still random sampling, even you update the device set.
It's still, I think.
Yeah,
Doesn't
still.
matter.
Yeah.
So Darko, what do you want to say?
Oh yeah. I think the key thing here is that, you know, if you, I think this paper may come from, you know, they may borrow some kind of a synchronous federated learning ideal. So you may want to check the original paper. Yeah, when they talk about asynchronous federated learning, how do they design that one? For example, especially for the random sampling, I think that's a practical question. And also, you know, even for under this framework of asynchronous federated learning, how do you do the sampling? I think will have a large impact on the performance of this algorithm. So I think in this paper, perhaps they didn't, you know, specifically talk about that one. They just borrow it from somewhere and they didn't, you know, think that deep. You know, they just say, well, maybe random sampling, that's fine. But I think, you know, if you want to check, if you check the asynchronous federated learning, and if you say how do they do the sampling, I believe that based on different sampling strategies, you may have different performance. So I think that's very normal. But I do have a lot of questions. Do they consider, for example, for this asynchronous straggler issue, do they consider computational straggler or communication straggler?
Doesn't matter. Not that matter. They didn't mention. They just like what they do experiments. They just because they just randomly light each device to select you are staleness 0 or staleness 1 or staleness 2. They just like to do experiment. They just choose 3 options of staleness.
So for example, you set a deadline, right? You say I'm going to set a deadline, so that well, within this deadline, if I receive your model update, I will incorporate it into my current model update, right? Otherwise, I just wait until the next. I think it's a period, but they have what do they say? Do they have a multiple period or multiple
periodical? Yeah, they have multiple deadlines. They do that periodically.
Yeah, this is deadline TD, deadline. Yeah.
So for deadline, is this the same as, for example, for the first one? For example, for the 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. I just wait for 1 hour and just then at 10 a.m. I'm just trying to go to the next round, wait until 11 a.m. things like that.
Yeah, the same. They consider to choose the same deadline, TD. They choose constant.
I agree with you, Dr. Guo. Probably we can improve this this design. Say we can adopt adaptive deadline, just like you know, say we increase the local iteration number, so make the file learning converge or within less number of rounds, something like that. We can change the deadline to be. I mean, this paper doesn't mention that, but definitely we can change the deadline to be adaptive.
Yeah, I think so, but I think because I'm not familiar with the asynchronous algorithm, so perhaps I don't know much about the internal design. But looks like if you see the design here, I feel that it's more like a heuristic. It's not very. They don't have very strong theoretical reasoning there. For example, if you see the weighted average in here, this W3, how do they calculate W3? Well, they come up with this formulation. Are they going to prove that this will converge?
Yeah, they prove.
They have proof.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious. For example, for Dr. Pan's question, let's say if you have adaptive deadline, the key challenge is that how are you going to analyze them? I mean, the convergence analysis may not be that straightforward because the thing will be very complicated. If you check I'm not sure whether the proof can be reused a lot.
Yeah, maybe. Good question.
But
One challenge is this paper, they
here-
only consider
Yeah,
a strongly convex loss function.
Jiahao, in this equation, or in their proof, is there any place they talk about the fixed period things they set up?
I don't notice this question, this point before. Maybe
So-
after I will check, but there
Yeah.
are no sentence to say, to actually say how the TD, deadline TD will affect the result. No.
Yeah,
I mean, in their proof, they incorporate the notation TD in there or not?
No, they don't include that.
So
Okay, they don't include that.
do they assume, so in their proof, do they assume that, well, for example, for each round, they assume that because you set a deadline, so they assume that each device will have, there's some probability that they will return the results within the deadline. They have a probability assumption, right? I mean, otherwise,
It's not probably they consider expectation.
Yeah. I mean, for example, you at the first round, you send your model to 10 clients, and then you perhaps you will have a probability, right? They say, well, among those 10 clients, do they have a P or this? Otherwise, how do they prove?
Okay, let me like here the conversion analysis, right? And here the conversion includes two terms. One is for the conversion term, and this one is error term. Error term based on error term here is included Z, lambda, ETH, delta, right? And the lambda here is caused by straggler because we have a staleness lambda, right? We have to choose a lambda. And the other one is caused by the order worst rate. And these are decoupled, you see.
Yeah.
Straggler
So how about the
worst
G? So the Gmax, you say the straggler, the arrow by the straggler. Lambda, I know that the one that you mentioned, that's fine. But
Yeah,
what is,
here.
for example, what is the alpha here?
Alpha is the normalized, is the number of devices in each group divided by the staleness, exponent by lambda.
So is this does this alpha?
Here, I told you
include,
what is alpha. Here, let me show you. Here, this alpha.
So this alpha tells you that how many devices that have been that have successfully transmitted their data or their model to the server at each round. Because you is this one, for example, here.
Yeah,
So
here.
this is the for example, it's not the number of devices that's select. It's just a number of devices that I have received successfully during that round.
Yeah. Yes, because we have 3 groups here. 1, 2. In one round, we have 3 groups.
But how can you determine that? I mean,
yeah, how can you
determine the number of devices in the?
Yeah. How many devices are you going to sample in each round?
They consider the total number of they consider like a 20%.
Okay, so then this one, I mean this sampling probability should appear in the convergence analysis, right?
Yeah, but they don't. They just show this this stuff here. Like you see, result around the sum of alpha. You see in the result. They don't show that.
Yeah, because there are too many design variables. For example, how many client you want to sample, right? So that's a sampling probability. And also the deadline, how do you set the deadline? Because if you set it very large, that basically means that, for example, more devices will return their results to the server during this round. Right? If it's very small, then you just have 1 or 2 devices that can finish this round. I mean, this deadline will have an impact, and the sampling probability also have an impact. And those impact, they should appear in the convergence analysis, right?
I understand, but from their performance, they don't like mention this kind of sample probability in the proof process also.
Then, so if that's the case, can we assume that maybe they just assume that they didn't do any kind of sampling? Actually, they just assume that I will select all the devices, and then just only part of them, you know, a portion of them will return me back the updated model. Yeah.
Do they show this thing empirically in their experiments? I mean, the sample rate and the number of devices.
Yeah. Let me. Oh, I forgot this part. Let me check for sample devices.
Let you finish first, right? So you have some.
Yeah, there's a new design for Adversary.
Yeah.
Okay, let me finish that. Okay, so in order to deal with the adversary attacks, the idea here is try to use small amount of public data collected at the server. So because the data center typically have their own public data sample, like which are already mentioned by federal learning setups. For example, the various anonymous medical data that are open for public research. So here you see this is our structure here, and here the server have a public data set here, and these are all devices and adversary, and they consider entropy-based filtering at the server. So what is entropy-based filtering? Here is the two equation, and EK is to compute the entropy of the WK, the WTK here. So NPB is the number of public data samples in the server. Here EXPUB G is the channel entropy of the model, defined like this one. And Q here is the number of classes. And P here is the probability of prediction for the Q classes on a sample using the model case devices. So they compute the entropy for each devices, and they find that because like in supervised learning, the model produces high confidence prediction for the ground truth label of the training data, but like so it has a low entropy for the prediction. But under specific model poisoning, they consider model poisoning attack like this one. They consider opposite sum of all weights and scale up 10 times before transmitting the model. This is they consider this kind of model poisoning. And you can see this part. And you can see the adversary devices and the benign devices, the entropy, the entropy of the model is totally different. And so they can like so in this way the entropy can is utilize a good measurement to a metric to decrement the benign devices and the adversary devices. And also here you can see this part is a loss. So in the model poisoning attack, here the server needed to filter out the models that entropy is greater than some threshold, right? And to describe like which is the adversary, which is some devices. But in the loss here, you can see like if we use the loss, which is not a good metric, you see there is much like both like adversary and benign have small loss values. So
Jiahao, do they assume a very, I don't know, very naive model poisoning attack? I mean, entropy, I'm not sure. For the loss, they can change their strategy, I mean, adaptively, right? Or dynamically, if it's kind of smart adversary.
Yeah, yes, you are right. You're right, Dr. Pam. You know, maybe, yeah. the multiple poisoning attack, a lot of attacks, right? Maybe they find that the entropy is so different, and of the beta and the adversary. So yeah, I know, I understand the point. Maybe like not all the multiple poisoning attack have this property, right?
Yeah, exactly. Also,
yeah.
I mean, if you're filtering out approach, that approach should be public, right? Just like all the encryption, we publish the algorithm. Can the attacker, I don't know, design corresponding attacking strategies?
Yes, it doesn't mention. We can try if this model entropy is good or not. Like we can see, you see like the nail gong, right? They have many poisoning attacks, right? Like adaptive they call.
Yeah, adaptive.
Maybe, but that is based on aggregation. Robust aggregation. But I don't know this entropy-based filtering is good or not on that kind of approaches. They don't try. They don't sell that paper.
Yeah, I mean, Neil Gong, they design many this kind of
yeah, I know.
attack and defense approach, right? So yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah.
Okay. Here is the result, like to show what's the threshold, because like after we compute the entropy of each devices, each model on based on the public data, and then we try to filter based on threshold ETH. So there is how the ETH, how different threshold, entropy threshold will affect the testing accuracy. And if we use very small, or like a threshold, for example, 0.3, and the performance is poor, because like the large number of devices get filtered out. So if you use a large threshold, the performance are also very poor. It's because the scheme cannot filter in all the adversaries. So and the performance are not like very sensitive to exact setting of the entropy threshold, but as long as we can choose the threshold in a reasonable range. And next, the other way they try to do the aggregation to deal with the adversarial attack is they consider loss-based averaging. So that's the reason is because in some cases the entropy cannot play a role. That when an attacker try to force the model to bear the specific data, for example, the data poisoning attack, they try to the data poisoning attack is they consider this kind of data poisoning, the label flipping. That means the label for each label they label they change it to label I+1, and this kind of data poisoning. And you can see the adversary and the devices and benign devices, the entropy are same, but you can see the overall loss are different. That's, and also the adversary devices usually produce high loss values. By the way, these laws are also based on the public data set. They like they compute the loss value entropy based on this public data set. So based on this kind of observation, they propose a new like loss-based averaging method here. These two, and you see WTK is local or more local models, updated models, and here is a coefficient beta, and this beta is dependent on the number of local MK. MK is the data samples in each local in the K devices, and here is a term F public. Here F public is the average loss of using WTK in the public data set, and also here is a loss exponent delta here, and also like all this this loss is this this beta is normalized and the summation is 1, and this loss exponent related to the impact of the loss measure with the public data set, right? And the delta, if the delta equals to 0, that means this equals to 1, right? It's reduce this loss averaging into the federal average. And also, like if we select a very large delta, for delta U3, and it makes it will degrade the performance. This is because only the devices having smallest loss is considering with a very large delta, and it ignores the effect of other benign devices. Yeah, this is the second. You can say these three approaches are independent, can be utilized by other algorithm. Then they propose their method Sageflow. They consider these three together, so which can handle the straggler and adversary at the same time. Okay.
Jiahao, I have a question. So how does this defense against the data poisoning or model poisoning related to the straggler method, the method for stragglers?
You mean this one?
Yes.
Straggler, right?
How are they connected together? I cannot.
I will tell you. How? Like you see, here, like you see, this is the staleness 1, 0, right? And they try to use on the staleness 1, 0, staleness 0 is they consider the staleness where aggregation and grouping, and we have like two groups here, right? And then try to do the server do the entropy-based filtering and loss-based weighting for each devices. For devices in this group in the same staleness, and they get a weighted average the models that V1 0 and V1 1 here, and then they do the aggregation together, and you see here. This is the staleness of our grouping, right? The averaging.
That's very superficial connected, right? So it's kind of happens, it's getting together. Nothing, I mean, nothing inherently, bounded stuff, right? So it seems still three separate games. It's just, I don't know. For the entropy-based one and the average-based one, I believe that's a very intuitive approach. It's not their proposed approach, right?
No, it is. It is. Yeah, it is. It is their proposal.
I have a question for the entropy-based approach. So it seems like the performance heavily depends on the public data samples you have.
Yeah, good question. You are right. So they do experiment to verify this. Like for the public data set, the impact of public data, there are two problems. One is the amount of public data, right? And the other one is the imbalance of public data set. That means the distribution is different from the other lower data set, right? So for the varied amount of public data set, you can see these two groups, right? And these two figures. And this one is the text accuracy, this is the global round. And they consider data poisoning and model poisoning. And they consider like a different portion, like 2% and or like 6% the data as the public, the whole training data set as the public data set. So it you can see that like only like a 1%, right, public portion of public data set is somehow is enough, right? It's very good also, right? And all like here is a 0.03%. You see there is some like performance degradation, but like for 1, 2, 6 is much more robust, right?
So and what do you mean portion of the public data?
Say again, sorry.
What do you mean portion of public data?
That means like that means each device is send up each device is we have send a portion of its local data to the server. Because each device is because we have 100, right? We just 100 images. We just submit 2 images to a server.
But this is somehow the privacy leakage, right? So the wrong
I
image.
know. They consider yeah. This is a
Yeah.
This is the point. When you use public data set, it have something different. Well, that seems to require the same distribution and the distributed distribution.
You mean they get the public data set from the clients?
This result here, this two is figure. They do the experiment based on what I said is send a certain portion, like 2% of 2 images to the server each device.
Okay.
And the imbalance of public data set, they try to sample the different data sample across different classes. This means the distribution is different with the two parameters, like they can directly at distribution with two different parameters, and still it's much more robust if the distribution if the data sample are different across the class in the public data. I understand the public as well. They do some experiment here. I want to show they do some experiment for the public for the COVID-19 data set. They do some experiment for COVID-19 because some COVID-19 data set are open to public, and they try to make this their algorithm their experiment more practical, and they do something, yeah, and also they show that the performance is good.
Yeah, so basically they just empirically to validate this public data setting, right? So
Yeah.
there's no
Yes.
proof. Yeah.
Yes, I know it's a violated the privacy concern. Yeah, I acknowledge that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also, what if the public data is also poisoned? So it seems that they introduce the public data set to solve a problem, but actually the public data set is also likely to be poisoned.
Maybe you are right, but I forget they do the experiment on this situation or not.
I think it's a general assumption, right? In many of Neil Gong's paper, they assume there's a clean public data set. So they use those public data set to do whatever design to filter out the attackers. Well, I want to echo Dr. Yuan's question. So given the very weak connection of those games, why do they want to put them together? So
because the goal is to try to deal with the straggler and the adversary, and the straggler will,
I think
will make the attacker relationship here.
Straggler there is good enough. Why you want to deal with attacker?
Yeah, I mean, why straggler is good enough, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's because nowadays, if your paper is not too complex, maybe it's look like it's not novel.
Oh my God, that's okay. I'm not sure if that's their intention. If that's their intention, also that's the intention of this NIPS conference. That's not a good trend, right? So you don't want to make your paper like a very complex paper, try to resolve every possible problem. That's mission impossible. You just focus on one and solve that problem perfectly. I think that's a typical, in my mind, is a good paper. Right? I don't know. It's not a proposal, right? You want to put everything together to give a holistic solution or something, but this is a paper.
Yeah, Dorpa, I understand. But I think of another evidence. Here they show in the experiment. You can see for the to only address the straggler, right? The federated sequence also is a similar result. Similar. It's also very good.
Well, that
It's
means their
orange.
design have not enough contributions.
Yeah.
Why? It doesn't matter you add the adversary things there or not. It's not kind of I don't know. It's not a kind of increase your novelty or contribution, right? It only messed up with the original design.
I think like this design look like it's very clear, right? And how they
It
use
is very clear, but those things are not coupled. Say that the adversary designs does not improve the straggler things, and the straggler things does not necessarily improve. Say you can get rid of more attackers. You know what I mean? They're separate designs.
No, they show something. Or I think they show like they have an argument. But I don't understand. They show that like if I'm not fully clear. So they show that if in adversary attacks, right, and then adversary setting, if the straggler, if we have the straggler presented and make the attacker ratio is higher, make the ratio much higher. For example, like here, for example, this is for the both issues. This is only straggler, only adversary. This is both.
But is there any kind of particular parameter can link these two category designs together? Then by adjust that one or two parameter, then you can improve both. I mean, that parameter should show up in both the straggler design and in the adversary design, right? So that by increasing or decreasing that parameter, one or two, it doesn't matter necessarily to be one, several, then you can improve the performance of both.
No, they don't make it.
That's what I mean.
No that parameter.
Yeah, that's not like one plus one larger than two. It's exactly 1 + 1 = 2. So they're separate.
Yeah, I'm wondering. So if we have this straggler, what it makes the adversary like more challenging to perform the attack?
Could you say again? Sorry.
So for example, suppose we have some straggler in our system. Well, this situation makes the attack more challenging or not? So you then need like the discussion on that. Or in another way, for example, if we introduce the adversary, it will make the straggler issues more challenging, more severe.
I think it's more challenging. It's more challenging because like if we don't use this kind of approaches, it's because like for example, we consider like a synchronous method, right? And we just like waited for maybe a synchronous or not synchronous, that's fine. We just waited for that all the devices, we'll consider a synchronous one, and we waited this kind of each local devices can upload their model, their new models to the server, like using any kind of global round, because they're slow. They use at the beginning, they only the first round global model, right? And to update, and the others very quick, very fast model. They use the newest global model to update, right? The quality of these two models are different, right? And based on look like if we use like the loss averaging or detection and entropy detection, make like the low quality models look like it's the adversary, right?
I don't think so, because when you talk about straggler, you talk about time, you talk about your computing capability, your communication capability. But if you talk about this kind of attack, you talk about you point your data, you point your model. It doesn't matter you train fast or train slow, or say you transmit fast or transmit slow, right? It's a two-dimensional problem. So I mean, even your straggler design, like Jiahao, like you already explained, I mean, you make the explanation for them. It still cannot convince people, right? Because it's a totally different problem.
So, Dr. Pan, I understand the point, but so if
You
stragglers,
tell me,
okay.
how about the points and data can affect the speed? I'll say in the other way around, how the speed is going to affect the point and data or point and model.
How the speed will affect the,
I mean,
you mean the computation speed, right?
it doesn't matter the computation speed or transmission speed. How the time is going to affect the pointing thing, and how the pointing is vice versa is going to affect the time, right?
I think we can do this. Like if the paper only deal with the pointing attack or model pointing attacks, right? We consider the entropy based filtering, right? We consider this one. So as the paper goal is try to deal with adversary. So if we have a slow devices, and but we only consider synchronized, we should wait for them, right?
Yeah.
If we do not wait them,
if you consider different aggregation rules or principles, yeah, I agree with you. Say, okay, I pick a top case election or something like that, right? Yeah, if you're faster, you point the model, point the data, yeah, with high probability, you can be selected. If you're regular, you never ever, you contribute something to the global one. Yeah, potentially. But if you talk about purely synchronized one.
Oh, synchronized one, we don't have this issue.
Yeah, how do we have this issue? But there are assumptions on the synchronized one, right?
There's sampling.
There are assumptions on the synchronized one, right? There's assumed
synchronized, right? Or synchronized.
And synchronized one.
Yeah. You see, because there is very slow, like a straggler, right? The solution, the common other solution is a synchronous update, but it has issues.
But still, those two issues, even you consider asynchronous one, it's not that coupled. There are two issues. They're not that coupled. There are two separate problems. In particular,
when you affect each other.
If you use the public data, I don't know, probably you think about, I don't know, if you collect some data from every possible device to form the public data, then potentially that's an issue. Is it faster or not is an issue? But still, in my mind, there are two separate problems. And also in practice, how? Can you assume the attacker? I mean, we can assume attacker have the arbitrary power, large power, right?
Yeah.
Do we need to assume the attacker to be the fastest devices with the highest communication capability?
Doesn't matter.
That's the thing. That's not practical, right?
I don't agree with this one, because like if we consider the if a straggler or slow, we don't wait a synchronous update, right? A synchronous update, and also we consider the case of the devices will be some adversary attacks, right?
Okay. Say, okay, if we do the attack, right? We always assume the attacker has the strongest power.
Well, no, we don't need to.
Doesn't matter.
We don't need to.
No, that's basically cryptography and security.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. If you consider the top 3 fast devices, they are all attackers.
Oh.
What's going to happen? That's the reason why I said these two problems. They're separated. They're not connected. Right? If you assume, okay, I can point the model, I can point the data, I also need to, okay, if you connect that to this kind of straggler problem, you also need to assume the attacker or the adversary has certain kind of computing power, large enough computing power and large enough communication capability. Then the top ones will be all attackers. then the entropy you got, it's the wrong one. It's based on the attackers. You only filter out the honest people. If
you just need to define a portion.
If you want to mash up all these things together, that's a disaster. That's the reason why we need to separate them.
No, I cannot agree with this one. They assume, like for each global round, there is like a 20% of devices are adversary devices.
Okay. Do they mention the computing capability? How fast they
They
transfer?
didn't mention.
Yeah.
They just like
That's the problem. But you are talking about Straggler here.
Here, but you see the computation, they don't need a computation. They don't need a lot of computation just to add the point attack is very
for this
easy.
20%, they normally distributed, right? So say, okay, 20% of them, say we have 100 users, 20 of the users are adversary, right? And among the 20 users, how many they're Straggler? How many they're fast devices?
They can choose. They can choose the option like we should they also independently choose. You don't know. It's like a slow in 1 step, 2 step, or 3 step. You don't know.
Anyway, I don't think it's a good point to combine those, unconnected 3 designs together. Try to address 2 problems.
That problem happens in the
many problem happens in fast learning.
Yeah.
Did your design can address all those problems?
Of course not.
Yeah, that's the question. You need to separate them, right?
No, I don't think so.
You need to talk about very tight connection among them, but there's obviously no very tight connections. Oh, anyway, you hold your opinion, I hold mine, right? I don't want to argue in front of everybody, but yeah, that's the point. I mean, you cannot say, okay, I want to make the paper more complicated, more complex, right? To cover more people, so I can filter out some reviewer, say I only have the knowledge in this side, I don't have knowledge from the security point of view, or the other way around. So you cannot do that. That's not I don't know. That's against, at least against my principle of writing papers. Anyway, yeah.
Okay. So, like I just directly go to this result, and I will show after I introduce this this page and I go to conclusion. Okay, because we have used a lot of time, and here for deal with only Straggler. They consider several approaches baseline, for example, Federated synchronous, and also they consider these 3 options, but plussing Federal average. They can ignore the Stragglers and wait for Stragglers, or wait for partial Stragglers, for example, 50%, 30% of Stragglers. And this is the testing accuracy. And also for only adversary, they consider like a robust aggregation. They consider geometric aggregation, median aggregation, geometric, and also Federal average, and also the DNO plus. DNO plus is they also use the public data set in the server, and the server try to compute the loss for each. That means the server you compute the loss for each model, and to build a threshold to show that like does this model is good enough or not, and to do that. And you can see it's not good. And also when we combine the Straggler and the adversary together, we can, and they also consider like several baselines for Federal synchronous plus E-flow. E-flow is they consider like entropy-based filtering and loss weighted averaging together. And this is the result, this orange. And also the SAGE. SAGE is a self-aware grouping and the robust aggregation. You can see here, this result. And overall, you can see that like even like look like it's not like so correlated together. This cities we are grouping and entropy based filtering, but overall you can see the overall training time accuracy is much higher. And yeah, finally I go to the conclusion. So this paper proposed a robust learning scheme against both Stragglers and Adversaries, and they prove a theoretical convergence bound for the convergence of Sageflow, and also the experiment shows the proposed method is better than the large baseline, the lotto baselines, and with a small portion of public data set. Yeah.
Hey, Jiahao, I still, can you go back to the convergence analysis, that slide?
I have to stop sharing.
I still didn't get the answer that answer to the question I asked. I mean, I saw that for example, we don't care about the error caused by the adversaries. Okay, I assume we ignore that one. We just focus on the errors caused by straggler. This one, how? So which is alpha? For example, this alpha Ti lambda, is this one related to the deadline or related to the sampling strategy?
Good question. See. Okay, I show you the.
Yeah.
The proof is localization is not too complex. You see, they consider the proof is based on the using some lemma from adversary federated sequence. Look like these federated sequence, they don't consider sampling.
So reference is reference 7 a credible resource?
Yeah.
It's an archive paper.
No, it's not archive paper. It is a car paper because this guy's published a lot of papers related to a synchronized and battery.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
This guy, you already like 153 citations. And maybe they do not consider this is I show you, this is the paper of this.
But seems that like this paper,
they don't consider this paper, they don't consider subsampling. Maybe they just borrow some result here, and you see. They have this result, this lemma 1, and they try. This is the proof, doesn't matter, and they try to prove the theoretical result in one round, and for given WTL T+-1 server update the global model called the equation, and they try to directly to do this one, like a irrigation. And this part here, look like here, this part is the stillness part, right? Here, stillness part. On the stillness part, and directly put this part into, there is a D. Then no sampling appear. What is D? D from the lemma 1 and the definition up here.
How do they get rid of the alpha part?
No, they don't.
They keep the alpha part. Okay.
They have the alpha.
But for E, they get rid of the alpha part, right? For small e here, there's no alpha.
Here. Yeah, there's small is no alpha.
Yeah.
Maybe okay. I guess maybe a reason is because like in the main paper they say that like the algorithm can address the partial like subsampling round. They can do this one, but in their proof like or their statement they don't
talk about the sub.
they just ignore this stuff because like I see there like a coordinate analysis they didn't mention the some sample or full participation. Didn't mention this kind of words. They didn't mention.
Yeah. Because I feel that the problem would be very complicated, and if they can address that problem, they should already publish a paper there.